which I have recently developed in Oracle VBCS, which is responsible to analyze the raw images and transform that image into a meaningful structural enterprise data. Here we are leveraging the high-speed Gemini 2.5 flashlight model to handle the heavy lifting of the visual analysis and data extraction part. So moving with this high level architecture. So if you see here, there are two sections. One is the image sections and another one is the data sections. So basically we are fetching these images from one of the URL source and binding it with the variable in the image section, and afterwards we are converting that into a base64 format and feeding it to the Gen AI model, which is Gemini 2.5 Lite for our cases. And then if you can see here, there's all these artifacts particular to this Afghan hound has been populated here. If I click on this analyze button, the image first generates, and then what is happening that it feeds the data to this particular to this particular to this particular data section to handle these artifacts about this particular Afghan hound. If you see all these details about this, whenever the we are hitting this analyze button, the new image is coming and thus corresponding hound details are getting populated on the data section here. So you see that set tail is all about set low and carried an upward curl the tip, etc. And this behavior is actually uh, independent and dignified, with a reserved yet affection demeanor towards the family, known for their elegance and the ancient lineage, etc. Coat is long, fine, silky hair covers body and face. And, that is how it is totally getting populated here. Here what we have done basically, that for this behavior we are using the canine expert in the system prompt, as well as for the face color and the coat paws tail, etc. Rest of the stuff using we are using the image analysis person perspective in the system prompt itself. So if you here see that this is the action chain which we have used to on the OJ action for the analyze button. First it is calling this JavaScript, which is responsible to fetch the URL from this and pushing it to the image. And the one and we are next we are checking that if image URL is not null, then we are converting that particular URL into the base64 and then calling the rest for the Gemini API through the service connection. Okay, and this service connection gives us the response, and once we this is the response, and we are when we are receiving this particular response, we are converting in doing the parsing on that particular stuff, and pushing it into a variable, and which variable is binded with the text input in the UI to display all the details of that particular account. So that is how it is working here. If I go to the code, so if you see that this is the first URL JavaScript to fetch the URL for the images. Okay, and it is there is a response, and if you see that we have used that await and fetch URL because it is asynchronous call, and then we are calling the base64 from URL. So this is basically responsible to convert the images what we have received into the base64 through the this JavaScript, and then we are pushing it to the Gemini model. Now, if we scroll down a little bit, if you see here that these are all this body of this system instruction which we have feeding into the Gemini model as well. We are generating the body payload variable here. I have used this persona that as I told earlier, that the professional veterinarian, canine historian, and the image analyst as well. These three combination to ensure that behavior is coming from the veterinarian or the canine historians, and rest of the stuffs are coming from the image analyst. So I was so and to ensure that the JSON response received from the Gemini API is not getting truncated, we have ensured that the description is under 20 words. So just to ensure that JSON is not truncated. Previously, I have used 300 max tokens, but later I have increased it to the 1000 for testing purpose, because JSON is whatever response we are getting, that was getting truncated during our parsing. So if you see that this is the analyst tone and formal, whatever it is, as per the user prompts here. Now coming scrolling down to the more, if we come here, this is the parse breed info. Okay, now in this parse breed info, this is whatever we have received, passing the parameter whatever we received from the Gemini as API response, and this particular function is responsible to parse the whole JSON we have received. And if you see here that we are pushing that response particular this PPI response candidate contain parts etc into a raw string variable, and from the if checking next in the checking that if it is a not no raw string, so then we are generating the console.log showing that there is an error, that it is not something happened actually. In the else part, we have considered all these stuffs and clean the first we clean the this raw string, and then pushing it to the json.parse, and then returning the function with the breed data. This breed data is fetched by the another variable in the action chain, which is even binded with particular UI text input, and that is how the whole stuff is working here.